Hello and welcome to this on-demand recorded webinar on getting started with auto entry. On today's session, we'll be looking at an introduction to auto entry, an overview and benefits of using auto entry in your business, how to set up auto entry, and how to upload documents to auto entry. So it's likely if you're joining us today, you've received an email indicating that you will have access to auto entry as part of your contract. For specifics on what is included in your subscription, please access the link in the follow-up email, use the option to get in touch, and then use the web chat to speak to our team directly. So let's take a look at what auto entry is. So auto entry is a cloud-based solution, and it will basically help you automate your data entry. So what it will do is it can take your documents from their original form, extract data in preparation to publish into your accounts software. Now, it is a web-based app. However, you will need a small install in order to integrate it with your 50 accounts, which we'll cover in the demonstration video soon. So there's 3 steps to this. First of all, it allows you to capture your documents. So this could be an invoice in the form of either a scanned document, it could be a photograph, or just a file that you've got ready, such as a PDF or a JPEG. The next step is it will attempt to categorize that transaction. So it will attempt an automatic categorization where possible, applying nominal codes, tax treatments, and applying customers and suppliers for you. It will allow you to check at this point, so you can check what it has applied automatically, and if you do need to make any amendments, you can do so before going on to the final step, which is to publish. So when you publish, this then sends the transactions from auto entry into your accounting software, and in the examples we're looking at today, we're looking at Sage 50 cloud accounts. Now, as you use auto entry more, you can make it work more and more for you. So we do have additional features such as rules and remembered codes. So you can eventually opt for auto entry to take a lot more of the work on for you. Eventually, in some cases with your supplier invoices, moving towards auto publish. So let's just have a look at some of the benefits, first of all, to your business of introducing auto entry. So first of all, it allows you to upload those documents that we mentioned earlier. So you can upload paper documents, but it could also be electronic documents, all into auto entry. And it starts that extraction process for you, ready for you to check what nominal codes and tax codes have been assigned. So it starts to automate your processing. It uses optical character recognition technology to read the documents for you and start to categorize the transaction on your behalf. As I mentioned earlier, you can also add in rules. So as you get more familiar, you can create things like rules and remembered codes on your suppliers. So it starts to remember the posting details for future transactions as well. So this can further speed up processing down the line. It's great for storage of the documents. So when you're thinking of things like making tax digital and digital links, it will store a copy of the document in the cloud for you. Now, as there's less reliance on humans and manual entry of data, there should be less errors in your data due to mistyping and less time taken actually processing those transactions. So overall, you should see it start to streamline your processing. So all around, there should be less errors, less manual entry, and a much more efficient process for you. Okay, so first of all, we're going to give you a brief overview video of the setup process. So as I mentioned earlier, it's a cloud-based app. It does require a small piece of software to be installed in order to link it with your 50 accounts. So the following demonstration just goes through that process and shows you how easy it is to set up.
Let's start by setting up an auto entry account and signing in. Auto entry is the fastest way to capture, categorize, and publish financial documents through to your account software. To start the sign-up process, access your unique URL. From the center of the page, click Sign Up. Complete the required information and click Next. Now enter your email address, set a password for your account using the criteria listed, then click Sign Up. Confirm the information displayed and click Continue to Integrations. From the list of available integrations, you can choose to connect to 50 Cloud or Accounting. This integration can be done at a later stage. Select the I don't use account software for this company checkbox, then click Continue to Company Account. Now let's download and connect AutoEntry with Sage 50 Cloud accounts. Staying in Company Settings, from the top right, click Integrations. Locate your software in the list and click Connect. To connect with Sage 50 Cloud accounts, you need the AutoEntry Sync app. The hyperlink on this page takes you to the AutoEntry help content. This gives you a more detailed look at the Sync app, including the option to download this from the links at the bottom. The AutoEntry desktop sync icon now appears on your desktop. To open this, double-click the icon. Enter the AutoEntry details used during the registration and click Login. The company connected with the login details appears in the list. In the column Connected to Company Accounts, this shows us No, with a hyperlink to connect. You first need to indicate which accounting software you use. From the Accounting Software drop-down menu, select Sage 50 UK&I. You can now either select the appropriate company from the Company List drop-down, or if the company is not shown, select the Company Not Shown, click here to select Manually checkbox. Browse to the Company ACK Data folder using the folder structure and click Connect. Once connected, the Connected to Company Accounts column shows the path to the selected company. Back over on the AutoEntry web page, now that you've downloaded the app and selected the company, refresh this page. This page now shows the following. You're connected to Sage 50 UK&I with the option to disconnect, a button to resync the data with 50 accounts, an option for the invoice duplicate checking, the path to the selected company, an option for mapping data to the X reference box in 50 accounts, and a current status report of the connection between AutoEntry and Sage 50 Cloud accounts. If you make any changes to this page before you leave, click Save.
Okay, so that was just a quick demonstration of that install process. It is a one-time process. So once you've installed the app, you won't need to do that again. Okay, so it's just a one-time process. So next we're going to have a quick look at what documents you can actually upload to use with AutoEntry. So as you can see, we've got some examples on the screen there. So first of all, we're going to look at purchase invoices, sales invoices, and expense receipts. So it doesn't matter whether it's a sale or a purchase invoice, you can upload that document onto AutoEntry, and that's where it starts that extraction process. So it starts to extract potential customers, potential suppliers, tax treatments, the amounts, etc., which we'll demonstrate a little bit later on for you. And it starts to identify where those records can be applied, where possible. When we're thinking about supplier statements, it's slightly different. So this is actually used where you would actually be using it for reconciling your supplier accounts. So where you actually want to cross-check everything to make sure that what you've got on your supplier statement has in fact been processed into your accounting software. Bank statements are also slightly different. So bank statements allows you to upload a bank statement, which is great if you're not currently using the bank feeds function. So if you think about your bank statements, they're normally a PDF document that you receive from your bank, and that may be an electronic or a paper format. That makes it really hard to move into other softwares because normally you need it in a CSV or an Excel format. So AutoEntry can do that for you. It can extract it from a PDF format into a CSV or an Excel format. In addition, it can actually also extract it into a Sage 50 import file for you. So if those transactions haven't yet been entered into Sage accounts and you want to do it via a file import, it can produce that file import file on your behalf. Okay, so we're going to move on to uploading documents, because there's a few different ways in which those documents can actually be uploaded. So the first one is just to log on to your auto entry account online. So just log on to the website, log in with your details, and there is an option for each document type for you to upload. And that's a simple drag and drop or a browse in for a file. We also have the option to email the documents direct to an auto entry email address. So when you set up auto entry, you will be given 4 new email addresses, one for purchases, one for your sales, one for your supplier statements, and one for the expenses. You can use those to email the documents direct to auto entry. So this is great if you don't want a colleague maybe to have access to auto entry, but you want them to forward documents into auto entry on your behalf. Next, we have the auto entry app. So you can install the app on your phone, and this is great for sales, purchases, and expenses. It allows you to take a picture of your document on the go and post it straight into auto entry whilst you're out on the road or working from home. So it's great if you've got a receipt there in your hand there and then. You can take a photo of it straight away and not worry too much about losing the document in your pockets or in the van or in the glove compartment. The final one there, we're not going to touch on in too much detail, but I will highlight it briefly, is auto entry can sync with your supplier accounts online and also your bank accounts online. And that allows you to do something called document fetching, where once you've synced with your supplier account online, it can retrieve things like bank statements and invoices from your suppliers. So just let's have a look at those first 3 options in a little bit more detail for you. So as you can see on the screen there, we've got the upload option at the moment. So we're focusing mainly on purchases for today's session. So you can see here, we've got the purchases option here. And once you click on upload, it opens this window here for us. So we do have some different options in here. We can ask it if it's got multiple lines on the invoice, we can ask it to extract those additional lines. It will charge you additional credits to do so. We can also indicate whether or not we want each item to be treated as a separate document, or if we wanted to recognize pages that are all part of the same invoice. We can assign a department, and also you can see at the bottom which file types are supported for uploading. Now, we did mention email, and we're going to move on to that in just a second, but I just want to highlight to you that whilst we're in this window, it does also highlight the address that we can use to send purchase invoices across to. So if we did have a colleague who's receiving a lot of the purchase invoices, they could forward them all on to this address, and it would all come directly into auto entry on your behalf. Now, the other place you can see those mailbox settings is within company settings and then mailbox settings. So you can see what email addresses have been assigned to you. So normally it's your company name and then purchases@mail.autoentry.com. So you've got 4 different mailboxes for purchases, sales, expenses, and your supplier statements. If you use the email option, it will send it to auto entry. It will land in exactly the same place as it would do if you did a manual upload. So it doesn't matter how you're sending the documents in, they all come together in the same place within auto entry. So the final option is the auto entry app. Now again, this is a tricky one for me to try and demonstrate live. So I've got a short video, it's only about a minute long for you to watch, just to show you how that auto entry app can be used.
Let's upload a document to auto entry via the mobile app. The mobile app is great for when you're out and about and you want to capture receipts or other documents. First, access the relevant app store on your phone, then search for and download auto entry. Enter the auto entry details used during registration and click login. To access the different document types you can snap and send, from the top, click the arrow. From the list, select the document type. Tap the camera button and either snap a photo or browse in one from your camera roll. Fill in the expense category, and when you're ready, tap the green upload icon. While a document uploads, you can tap to see the image and pull down to refresh.
Okay, so that was just a really quick demonstration of how easy it is to use the Auto Entry app and how it's particularly useful for your expenses, but it can also be used for both your purchase and your sales invoices whilst you're out on the go. So finally, just before we do go into a live demonstration of the software, I do just want to touch on something that I mentioned a little bit earlier that should help you to speed up your processing even further. So it is possible to set up rules and remembered codes on your purchase invoices. Eventually, you can also move to auto-publish. So once the software has enough information, it can automatically publish them without your intervention. So first of all, we've got remembered codes. And this is where we can tell Auto Entry that when a transaction has a certain tax code, it must use a certain nominal code and a certain department. So it links those three together. We also then have the option for rules. Now, rules are slightly different. They're very similar to bank feeds rules. So if you're familiar with bank feeds rules, the concept's pretty much the same. And that's where we're telling Auto Entry that when a transaction meets certain criteria, it's telling it which posting details to use. So we'll have a little bit of a look at that in the demonstration in the next few minutes for you. And that should be us into Auto Entry there now. Okay, so we're just going to do a bit of a live demonstration. Unfortunately, I can't show you the whole software because there is lots to show you and lots of great benefits to the software. So we're going to focus mainly on the supplier side of things today. So first of all, I just want to show you, I've logged into my Auto Entry account. And as you can see, I've got multiple companies set up here. So if you've got multiple companies in your business, it's also possible to do the same for yourself by adding a company at the top here. Obviously, you'll probably want multiple colleagues also to be working on the data. So if you do want to add additional users, you do have the option to add additional users through all people up at the top here as well, and then add people. So I'm just going to pop back to my company list. See if we can get back in there. There we go. What you can see on this window here is my companies are all listed, but what you can also see is what's outstanding on each of the companies at a glance. So I'm going to go into this company. This is where we're going to do our demonstration today. So I'm just going to pop into here and you can see the main Auto Entry window. So this is the window that you probably spend most of your time looking at. So just want to show you some settings first of all. So if I go into Manage Lists on the left-hand side, within here, what we can see is all of the information that has fed through from my account when I've synced it with my account's data. So you can see I've got suppliers and I've got my customers. Now I haven't had to manually enter those into Auto Entry. They've come through as part of that sync process. So I haven't had to manually enter these. I've just popped back into Manage Lists. Within here, very similar, we've got our categories. So categories in Sage 50 terms, we're basically referring to nominal codes. If there's nominal codes here we don't want to use or see in Auto Entry, we can switch them off. We also have the VAT codes. So that's your tax codes within Sage 50. And again, you can switch them on and off as to whether Auto Entry can use them or not. Finally, we have the expense categories. And this is basically where we're telling Auto Entry which nominal code to use for each of these expense categories it's using. So as you can see here for food and meals, I've picked the nominal code for refreshments. And again, we have the option to switch these on or off. So back to the home page. And just to show you briefly, we do have some additional company settings as well. So this is where you can configure Auto Entry to work a little bit more for your business rather than generic settings. As you can see here, we've got things like capture line items. So you might want auto entry to automatically extract line items on every single invoice, in which case you can tick this one here. We just scroll down a little bit further though, you can see the mailbox settings, and that's where you will be able to see your mailbox settings as well. So back to the home. So first of all, I do just want to demonstrate some uploading of documents for you. So as you can see here, we've got the different documents here. So whatever document I'm uploading, I go into the relevant section. So I'm going to look at my purchases first, and I'm going to go into upload. And as you can see, the window that we saw earlier on has appeared. Now, if I did realize I was in the wrong area, it's no problem. I can just slip into the other areas if I need to as well, but we'll go back to purchases. So it's really as easy as just dragging and dropping, or I can browse for a file, which I did have one on my desktop ready. And we'll pick this one here. That's it done. It's as easy as that. Just finding the file, double clicking it, and it's started to upload. Now that's not ready to use just yet. So it's been sent to auto entry, but there is an extraction process going on now, and that can take around 2 hours or so. If it's busier, it can take longer. Okay, so it's something you maybe need to factor into your processing to maybe do your uploading at the beginning of the day, ready for processing in the afternoon, or at the end of the day, ready for processing first thing in the morning. So that's something that you will need to factor in. So within the purchases, I just want to show you first of all the activity. And this is the equivalent of the audit trail within your account software. So this is your list of everything you've ever uploaded. So if I go on to view, you can see everything that I have uploaded. And you can see if I look at the uploaded via column, I've got some that are by email, some that I've done through the browser. If I scroll down a bit further, you can see some of them have even come from my mobile. So it doesn't matter which way I submit them, they all end up in the same place for processing. So if we go back up to the top, you can see I've got the option for inbox. And the inbox is everything that's waiting for my attention. Okay, so I've got a few in here at the moment. If you notice, we've got a column here that says publish. So some of these are ready to go. So it's got enough information to post these if I'm happy to do so. So it's already assigned supplier accounts, categories, and VAT codes. So if I wanted to just do a really quick publish, I can do. I could just publish them clicking on here. But I've got a few here where it can't publish yet because we don't have enough information on them. So if I wanted to just check this out, first of all, I could just assign them from here if I wanted to. If I knew exactly what that was, I could assign them. But what I can also do, if I want to have a look at that original document, just to try and jog my memory, I can click on the icon. And what that icon brings up is the original document, but also what has been extracted so far. From here, I can add in any additional information that's missing. Now, I know this one hasn't been able to extract it because I don't have that record yet, so I can create that from here if I needed to. Once I've filled in the information that's missing, I can publish and move on to the next one. If I pop back to my invoice, my inbox, I'll just pop into one of these ones that's already been assigned. So if we have a look at this one, for example, you can see it's also on these ones extracted the supplier record, the date, it's extracted the amounts, and on this one it's also extracted both lines of the invoice for me as well. If there's something not correct, you can always come in and change this. There's no problem with that at all. What I can also do, this is a really common question, is I can link it into purchase orders as well. So if you are using the purchase order module and you want to link it to purchase orders, we do also have the feature there for that. So again, if I was happy with everything there, I can click publish next, and that will post that across to my accounts software on my behalf. We also have the archived option. So in archive, this just shows me what I have already published. So you can see a history of what has been published, and you can see they're now indicating here that they have been published to Sage 50 UK and I. And the rejected column, this is a really good one as well. It shows you what auto entry has rejected. So it won't just post absolutely anything, it will do checks for you. So as you can see here, I've actually done a duplicate in error. I've uploaded a document twice and it's telling me it won't post it because it's a duplicate. But if I'm happy that it is a genuine duplicate, I could move it to the inbox for processing. In addition here, I've accidentally uploaded a statement into my purchase invoices. Again, it's highlighting that for me that it's not an invoice. So that's a quick whirlwind tour of the purchases side. I do just want to show you bank statements as well. So if you're not using bank feeds, the bank statements option is very useful. Got the option in here to upload again, very similar to what we saw earlier. Notice there's no email address on here. You can't email the bank statement, unfortunately. You will need to upload it via this option here. But if I go into my inbox, what you should see is I've got an old statement in here at the moment. And if we just view this using the auto entry icon, what you can see there is the original document was a PDF document. Again, as I mentioned earlier, they're tricky to read or export and move between softwares. So what this has done is it's extracted all of the details of that particular statement. And what I have is an option up here to download. So this means I can download this into a different format. So I might want to download into an Excel file or a CSV file. But I do also have the option to download into a Sage 50 file. So if you've not entered any of these transactions into your software yet, what you can do is import them as a bank payment or a bank receipt using this particular file, and it formats it already, so it's going to go straight into your software via file import. So that is an option there if you haven't run that, if you haven't already processed those transactions. Okay, so the final thing I just wanted to show you is around those remembered codes and rules. So we go into my company contacts. Just want to show you that on one of my records. So I've got cars stores all set up. So within their record, you've got the general information, and at the bottom of the general tab, you can see I've got some remembered codes set up here. So basically, when a transaction is on a T0, it knows what nominal code to use. In this case, it's 5002. And when it's on a T1, it also knows which code to use. In this case, 6900. So that's the remembered codes. In addition to that, we also have the option for rules, which is along the top. So within rules, I've got 2 rules set up at the moment, and I can prioritize which one sort of takes precedence over the other here. So I've got 2 rules set up. I've got one rule, and this rule is where the description refers to the term bespoke event. It's going to use miscellaneous expenses nominal code and tax code T1. So I've got that rule saved. I also have another rule, which we're going to follow back into the data and show you this in action. And this is where the description says, packaging, then it knows what category to use, in this case 5003, and to use the tax code T1. So every time a transaction comes through and it extracts that information, if it's got packaging on this particular supplier invoice, then it should automatically assign that for you. So let's go and have a look at that in action. So if we look back at our supplier list and into the inbox, and we've got one here for cars stores. So if I click on the little auto entry icon to delve a little bit deeper, you can see the original invoice has the term packaging in the description, and the extraction has ensured that it's got packaging and it's using that 5003 code and VAT code T1. So it's done that extraction on my behalf. So again, if I'm happy, publish next, and that would send that across to my software on my behalf. Just to briefly show you what that looks like in accounts, it just looks like a normal transaction. The only thing that looks slightly different is the username has 50C auto entry, so it knows where that's come from as well. Okay, so that brings us towards the end of the demonstration. Like I say, there's lots that you can get out of auto entry, so it's definitely not the end of what you can achieve with auto entry. If you want more information on these other sections, then the best places to start are the Help Center. So the Help Center's got lots of help articles and also lots of videos to help and support you with all of the features of auto entry. In addition to that, we have direct access to the team through the chat option in the bottom right corner. So please do use that, and you can see the response time is really quick. So you shouldn't be waiting long to speak to one of the team. So I'd certainly recommend getting onto them there.
So next we'll just have a look at some of the frequently asked questions across these webinars. First of all, can I add additional users and companies to auto entry? Yes, both of these are possible. It's possible to allow multiple companies to be created and also to add additional users. These users also don't need to necessarily be Sage Accounts users. Can I link my invoices to a project? Yes, each invoice that you upload can be assigned to a project if you're using the project costing module. If need be, each individual line of an invoice can be also assigned to a different project, just like it can within your Sage 50 Cloud accounts. This links nicely into our next question. Can I link an invoice to a purchase order? Yes, if you are using the purchase order module within your Sage 50 accounts, the purchase order will need to be marked as complete but not fully posted, and the invoice must also match the value of the purchase order within Sage 50 accounts. And finally, is it possible to add an approval stage to invoices? So approvals are a feature in use when using auto entry for expenses. They're not currently available within the purchase invoice upload area of auto entry. For more information on these, please check out the Auto Entry Help Center. Okay, so just to summarize, auto entry is a great tool for extracting information from your invoices and documents and preparing them for posting into your Sage 50 account software. Bank and supplier statements are easily reconciled using the statement extraction feature, and it can be linked to suppliers and bank accounts to allow you to retrieve your bills from them. And finally, remembered codes and rules allow for further automation. Further help and support can be found on the Sage Help Center by searching for auto entry, and also on the Auto Entry Help Center, as well as the web chat that's available for any technical queries. Now, just to mention the credits. As part of your subscription, you will be receiving a number of credits. How these credits are used is if it's a single line invoice, it's 1 credit per invoice. For an invoice with multiple lines, it's 2 credits per invoice. And for bank and credit card statements, it's 3 credits per page. For more information on what's included in your subscription, please follow the link in your follow-up email and follow the link to get in touch and contact our team via online chat. Thank you for watching today. Take care and stay safe.